Right now, though, we're joined by somebody who played 15 years in the NFL, a three-time Pro Bowler, 12th all-time in passing yardage and TDs. He won the Heisman Trophy. He was a consensus All-American. He was the first pick overall in '03 out of USC. And he is appearing today on behalf of Caden Wood and its new performance-based CBD Sports Cream Level Select, which you know we'll talk about. Carson Palmer is my guest. Carson, last time I saw you, we were in Miami. A lot has changed in the world since then. So let me start first by asking you, how are you and your family holding up during the pandemic?
Hey, Jim, we're doing good. We're ready for this to run its course and the world to open up and get back to normal. But we're quarantining, we're laying low, and with 4 kids from the age of 11 to 4. My patience has been tested. I don't know if I have failed or succeeded, but my patience has been tested, and I'll leave it at that.
I gotcha. So, Carson, what do you do to blow off steam? I understand that. I think a lot of parents are having their patience tested right about now, but there's only so many things you can do. What do you do to blow off steam in those moments if and when your patience is tested?
So I got done playing almost 3 seasons ago now, and I got to the point where I literally went 2.5 years without sweating and stopped working out completely. I just didn't want to be in a gym anymore. I spent so much of my time, especially as I got to be, in the NFL in year 10 or so at age 30. Once I got into the 33, 34, 35, 36, when I was, 35 in that season, I was spending half my days in the gym just prepping my body to be able to withstand an NFL season. And I think I just burnt myself out on working out. Sure enough, COVID-19 hits. We're locked down. I got back into working out. My body was banged up from all the years. I had a lot of aches and pains and sorenesses, and I just didn't want to see the gym. I didn't want to be in the gym. I wanted to be outside. Sure enough, we can't go outside anymore. We're stuck inside with COVID-19, and I got back in the gym. I started working out again, losing some of that beer gut, which it needed to go, and really been blowing off steam just by working out and training again.
I love it. Carson Palmer is joining us. Now, you were always a competitor, and you wanted to win at everything. So going into that draft, your draft, the '03 draft, how important was it to you to be number one, and how competitive did you get about that?
Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but I wanted to be the first pick, and regardless of whether you're the first, the second, or the third pick, it's all a lot of money. It's not. It wasn't about money. It was more. You end up getting these guys, except for this year because of COVID-19. These guys get close to each other. Joe Burrow and Tua played against each other a bunch and saw each other at awards ceremonies and media events and all the things that come up in the off seasons. So you get competitive on the football field when Tua and Joe Burrow play against each other. It's obviously very competitive. But, as the offseason unfolds and you go to the SEC Media Day and you get ready for draft, the draft visits and the combine, and you're seeing all these other guys that you're competing against, it gets very competitive to be, whether it's the number one pick or to be the first quarterback off the board. It's very competitive. And a lot of guys will say, I just want to be drafted. It's a childhood dream, which is true. But when it comes down to it, you want to feel each one of those guys. I'm sure between Justin, Joe, and Tua, all 3 of those guys, they want to have that over the other guy for their next 10 years of playing. They want to say, well, I was the first pick and you were the third, or I was the first quarterback off the board, you were the second. They'll never say that out loud. But that's something that there's no doubt is going on in these guys' heads. There's a very competitive side of being the number one pick or being the first quarterback off the board.
Carson Palmer joining us. He did go number one overall. So what about Joe Burrow? Is there any way, Carson, in your mind that the Bengals do not select him? Is that an open and shut case, or could you make an argument for Chase Young there?
Oh, I think there's a massive argument for Chase Young. His production is off the charts. He is physically unique and physically different. Quickness, speed, size, range, mobility, every facet he's got. He is an athletic, very unique athletically gifted kid. Joe had a great season. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Joe had the greatest season in college football history. And that is obviously something that every team that doesn't have a quarterback is looking at and they're enamored with. But man, there's a lot to be enamored with in Chase Young too. And the other thing that you can't forget is the Bengals still have Andy Dalton under contract. Andy Dalton can play. People don't give Andy Dalton his due, I don't think. Andy is a sneaky athlete. He's got more arm than people give him credit for. He's really accurate. He's really smart. He's still under contract. He didn't get traded this offseason for some reason. Now, we don't know in the public whether that's because no team was willing to give up enough for the Bengals to go and get him, or if the Bengals are still caught on, man, Joe's a great player, but this Chase Young kid who, if you look at history, the Bengals organization loves Ohio State players. They're enamored with Ohio State players. They always have been. So there's that facet too. And I know Joe started off his career at Ohio State, but there's definitely it's not consensus that I think Joe goes number one. I think Chase is that type of generational player, that kind of physical specimen. And from everything you hear about him, he's a great kid and a hard worker and a leader. So he really checks off every box when you talk about a 10 to 15 sack a year guy. And I hate to use the phrase, a shoe-in or a obvious great pro, because that you never know until they get there. But man, there's a lot to love in Chase Young, and you still got Andy Dalton on the roster and under contract. So I don't think it's a given that Joe goes number one. I think we all got to sit and wait and see till draft day.
Yeah, there's some food for thought right there. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a no-brainer. Maybe it's not a lock. Carson Palmer is joining us. When you and I spoke, Carson, during Super Bowl week, you made the point, for instance, that Patrick Mahomes has a really special arm, and then he goes on, he leads them back from 10 down in the Super Bowl for a comeback. What did you make of that performance, watching that play out the way it did?
Yeah, I mean, he makes the unbelievable and the unthinkable so effortless. I mean, he does. He's down by 14. He's down by 17. He's down by 21. He can win by 30. You think back to some of these games that he's played and the way he's played and the things he's done. He makes really, really difficult from a guy like myself, a guy who played for 15 years and played for a long time. He makes a guy like me say wow and ooh and ah and say there's no way they're out of this game. There's no way they can come back. There's only 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He does things that I think every quarterback in the NFL from Aaron Rodgers on down look at and are wowed by and shocked by. He is that kind of talent. I mean, he does things you just don't expect, and he does the extraordinary all the time. Every season, he's only played 2 seasons, but every season he's got games where he does things that you just say that this game's over, there's no way. And sure enough, he finds a way to bring them back and rattle off 21 unanswered points in 6 minutes.
Carson Palmer is joining us. Now, Carson, you're working with Cadenwood and its new performance-based CBD sports cream, Level Select. How did that relationship first come about, and what do you like about the CBD sports cream?
Yeah, I started, I finished my career, I believe, 36 years old, multiple surgeries, multiple injuries, broken bones, all kinds of good stuff. And I was just at a point where my body hurt. As we were talking earlier, I stopped working out because I was just constantly in pain. And the more I worked out, the more issues and sorenesses I had. So I had been looking for something at the tail end of my career. I had multiple surgeries, as I said, and didn't want to go the Oxycontin or Vicodin or pain pill route. And CBD was something there. What Cadenwood does is that we grow our own hemp. We produce our own product. So what is on the box is exactly what you can expect. We're setting the standard in safety and trust in our brand. There is no THC. There is 0% THC in our product. It is not something that you receive a euphoric effect or a high from. This is strictly a relieving and soothing ointment. And it's something I use every day on my left knee. I had multiple surgeries on my left knee, a lot of scar tissue and a lot of junk in there that constantly gives me aches and pains. And Level Select CBD is something I rub on in the morning. It's something I rub on before I go to bed at night. It gets me through the night. I'm not waking up at 2 a.m. with pains and aches. So there's a lot of great benefits. for professional athletes, ex-professional athletes like myself, weekend warriors, dads chasing around kids, moms chasing around kids. It's just a great product and has really benefited my life greatly. It's
a really strong pitch. Carson Palmer, my guest. Really quickly, Carson, before you go, Tom Brady is in Tampa Bay with Bruce Arians, who, of course, you played for in Arizona. And, Arians has got that mantra, no risk it, no biscuit. He's got a rep for loving to throw the ball deep. We know this. In your opinion, does it seem like Brady's got the arm strength to do that, or are they going to have to change the offense to fit his arm and his game?
I love the mesh. I mean, there's no doubt it's not going to be Bruce's offense from 2016 in Arizona or 2012 in Pittsburgh. There's going to be some changes. I would assume that Tom's going to come in with 20, 30, 40, 50 plays or concepts that he absolutely loves, things he's been doing with Gronkowski and Edelman and whoever he's had outside that he's really, really comfortable with. And then Bruce is going to have a big portion of his offense. But I think it's going to be a really, really good mesh. And obviously when Bruce hears from Brady, I really like this and this is why I like it, Bruce isn't going to, he's not going to argue and fight back. Bruce wants to win, and Bruce wants to win a Super Bowl as a head coach. He's been so close. And Brady's done it enough times that I'm sure Bruce is going to give him all the confidence in the world. And when Brady says he likes something, he's going to say, okay, just like when I would sit on Saturday nights before games with Bruce going over the plays that we were going to start the game off the next morning on Sunday, if we're literally, 12 hours away from kickoff, if I say, hey, I don't like this play, he would just rip it out of the playbook and it's gone. So he's very open. Especially when he's getting insight and ideas and tidbits from Tom Brady. He'll listen to him and they'll move forward. And I really like the gel and the mesh of these two minds and histories in this league coming together and hopefully forming another Super Bowl run for Brady.
Hey, Carson, I got about a minute. I've got your little bro coming on, Jordan Palmer, later on this week. And he, nice. I mean, God, he is doing so well for himself. But I want to get your thoughts because probably as great as it was to grow up being your younger brother, it might not have been the easiest thing. He has really carved out this amazing niche for himself. He is so well thought of and so respected in the business. How proud are you of him and what he's doing right now?
It's awesome. I mean, what the best thing that he has going is he is an unbelievable teacher. And I think that's something that gets kind of lost in the riff of coaching. There's a big difference between a good coach and a good teacher. And when you are a good coach, which means you're a great motivator, you lead by example. When you're a great teacher, you can find a way to deliver the information and the information be absorbed by your student. I think he's a great coach. I think he's an even better teacher. And when you combine those two, there's very few guys, even at the NFL level, that are great coaches and great teachers. And that's the one thing that, he teaches my son, his nephew, my little son Fletch, who's an 11-year-old quarterback. He goes to his quarterback camps, and he comes back and tells me all the things he learns. And I'm like, dude, we went over this like last week. We went over this 6 or 7 times, and I can't, just because I played it doesn't mean I can deliver it and teach it. Just because
you're his dad, that's what it is. They don't listen to their dad.
You're probably spot on that. But being able to deliver a point and your pupil being able to receive it and adjust and make adjustments after they've been taught that is what makes you a great coach. And I think that's what jumps out at me about Jordan is he's just a great teacher and great coach.
He played 15 years in the NFL, 3-time Pro Bowler. He was the first pick overall today. He appeared courtesy of Caden Wood and its new performance-based CBD sports cream, Level Select. Carson, what a great job, man. Great to have you back. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim. Have a good one.
Great interview, Carson. Well done. Have a great day. Carson Palmer joining us. All right, love running him down. Always have.